Hello, welcome to the final word. Everton 3, Newcastle United 0. The Premier League, a huge win for the Toffees last night. One that takes them out of the relegation zone just a couple of weeks after being placed in the relegation zone by the bad Mets of the Prem. Jack, hang on, before we start, happy birthday to Ped. It's Ped's birthday.
Hello.
He's come in, give up his day to come in. Show his face.
Big 55 now.
Well,
Smiling.
no, the Premier League give me a points deduction, so it's only
That's
45.
That's good.
You know.
Fair play to them. Jack, big win. Big win.
Massive win. I think easily best performance of the season so far. Probably best performance of the last few seasons. You know, you don't want to get carried away, but it was a massive win.
Feels like you got
Really
getting
good
carried
performance.
away.
Does feel like
You know what? Maybe I am, but if we can be happy about anything, we can be happy about that, because we know Newcastle are a good side. We know we've got the injuries and the busy schedule. On paper, they still had a better team than us, and to win, but not. I think they did, but not just to win, but to win 3-0 as well. You know, everything you want from an Everton performance at home, late under the lights as well, intense in the face. You know, crowd up for it as well. It's what everyone talks about but doesn't always get when we speak about, you know, those intense Everton performances, and you know, we did it last night.
Ped, I mean, they started with that intensity. The one I wanted to see against United didn't quite happen, but when we do start fast like that at home, it engages everybody, the crowd and everything. I thought Newcastle struggled for the first 10 minutes with Everton's intensity.
Yeah, I think especially with people were a little bit, not down, maybe down's not the right way, but a little bit like, oh, when they seen the team, and obviously it was forced change. Nothing you can do about that, but you look, you know, you've seen the team, you've seen Ashlyn play right midfield, Seamus right back, and Jack Harrison playing midfield. It's a bit like, oh, don't know what we're going to get tonight. And almost maybe thinking, oh yeah, this might be one of those nights, but not putting any pressure on because of the injuries. So yeah, to start the game on the right way, not conceding after a minute and a half. Bonus.
Always good. Yeah.
Always a bonus.
Not conceding the goal of the season either.
Yeah,
does
that's
help.
always help. And also fully focused, taking nothing away from what happened against Manchester United, which we had to do, but maybe not that pressure there. That obviously we had to do that against Manchester United. We had to show our feelings. We have to continue to show our feelings, but maybe it was a bit more relaxed in a general. And certainly after Forest, I certainly felt really relaxed about it going into the game, thinking they're not great away from home. They look stretched, the bench, and just thinking, yeah, I'll get off to a good start, try and keep them quiet, and that's what we did.
I mean, it was amazing, considering how calm the atmosphere, you know, with it being almost like a war zone, that, you know, Sky weren't able to come over to cross the water.
Yeah.
They have to have that moat called the Mersey to keep the reporters safe, so Everton did well. The fans did well to negotiate that, you know. But no, you're absolutely right. On the way the game, Zach was like, what do you reckon? And he said, I think we'll win. And I was like, yeah, I fancy us, like, but it'll be tight. If we win, it'll be a 2-1 because they are stretched and we are playing well. And the big thing is, you look at the league table before the game, you're like, Everton in the bottom 3. But the reality was, Everton are a mid-table side this season. That's where they are. And ironically, at the end of the game, Everton would only be 6 points behind Newcastle if it was how it is. So we're quite clearly better than where we are in the league table. But that start to me just encouraged me massively, the fact that we were on the front foot and they were looking a little bit, they didn't get any kind of rhythm. Listen, they got injuries. You've got to play on that, but that side beat Manchester United at the weekend and was really good. I watched the game. They fully deserved to beat United. And when Everton start with an intensity, you can engage the crowd a bit, and it gives them that extra little bit of extra few percent. You have to press and get after Newcastle, which I thought he did really well.
Yeah, and it was very encouraging to see them, you know, play on the front foot as well. Obviously, Newcastle had their chances as well, and, you know, the opening minutes were a bit end-to-end. But, like you say, when you see that team, you come out and you think, you know, basically got 2 right-backs on the pitch, and, you know, Doucoure might be a bit more restrained because Harrison's taking his place, but, you know, we were on the front foot, and you had both Doucoure and Idrissa Gana Gueye as well making runs into the box, and, you know, Young having a better game higher up the pitch, maybe that's something to look at. Coleman actually being able to go past him as well. His delivery wasn't great at times, but having the option stretch Newcastle and gave us that option on the ball, didn't it? and allowed us to play with a bit more attacking purpose, and that just fed into everything we wanted it to be.
Ped, Jack's right there, because I did think, you know, obviously Seamus' first game since May, but he was getting beyond their fullback, and even if he didn't always get the ball, he was an option. There was one quite early on where he got it and he went across it and cut inside, and okay, his left foot, he put it into the danger zone, he cleared it, but having a fullback who goes beyond the winger just gives you that extra little bit, doesn't it?
You could see which one was a right back last night.
Yeah.
You could see, you know, Ashley Young is not a right back. He's converted there because of, as you know, gets to all of us when we play football, you end up going further back. But Seamus has been doing that for the whole of his career, and he knows how to do it. And all he's done is done it a little bit less in games. And he's also turned into a very good defender as he's got older as well. So it's probably easier for him to understand that role, because it's not easy. It's instinctive. We saw when Seamus, in his younger days, when he played right midfield, and he didn't know how to make runs. He didn't know where to go. Because his instinct was to run from deep and overlap, and suddenly, as he come to play further up, he couldn't do it. So he knows how to play that role, and all it is for him is knowing when to go and when not to go, and obviously who he's up against. And I thought those two played really well last night, and really stopped certainly Anthony Gordon from doing anything, and when there was a swap over, and he just didn't get any joy out of them, and that showed even more when Nathan Patterson came on. I think Nathan Patterson touched the ball 8 times when he was on the pitch, and one of them was an assist. So that showed how well we worked, certainly at full-back, because Mykolenko on the other side was brilliant again, and he kept them really quiet.
Yeah, I think one thing you highlighted as well was the defensive benefits as well, when we did have to sit back more, and we know that Newcastle left side before they moved Gordon over. They've got Gordon with a lot of pace, Livramento, fast and strong. So, you know, 2 older players on our right-hand side, I think they dealt with that really well as well, dealing with these young, fast athletes.
Absolutely.
You've been impressed with Mykolenko of late.
I have.
No, but what I mean like that, he looks to me like he's a yard quicker. And that can only be down to the fitness team and the management team. But I think he's looking a lot more confident, and he looks a lot more like he knows what he's doing.
I mentioned this last night on one of my player ratings. He's Andy Dufresne, isn't he? He's come through that pipe full of we know what, and he's on the beach now. He really has, because this is a player, it's very clear he didn't think he was ever going to be good enough. But it's almost like he's gone through those experiences, like obviously half a season under Frank Lampard, and then a full season last season, and both relegated. And if it just looks like he's learnt on the job, which is obviously what you want footballers to do. Not every footballer does it. Not every footballer develops. I think we've watched them develop. He looks bigger. He certainly looks fitter. He certainly looks like he's massively benefited from Dyche Fitness. And he's made me eat my words. I think you've just said there, he looks so much more comfortable in what he's actually doing. So there was one last night where it was at the Gladys, Pickford pinged one at him. And I think maybe last season he would have maybe even just let it go, just like, oh, what do I do here? He took a touch and then he knocked it on, and there's no complications at all. There was one last night, I think it was second half, where I think it was actually in the move for the third goal, where he got the ball and someone right on him, and he just spun back and went back, and it's just like those little moments where you can't really quantify how important they are. Whereas maybe in last couple of seasons he would have like panicked or you know, it would have got the better of him. Whereas now he looks a lot calmer. The fitness thing I think is hugely important. I think he looks bigger as well. He looks stronger, and he's turning into a really good all-rounded player. And yeah, it's made me eat my words, and I've got no problem in saying that. But
that's what you want, don't you? You want players. There's this thing that people think you want players to fail. You want players to be brilliant. Yeah. So all you want, and I think he has. Listen, I've always thought he was really good 1v1.
Yeah, that's what his game was based on.
He was a defensive fullback. I think it was worse for him because he came in. We seen Luca Dean against City the other night. It was unbelievable for Villa, and he come in after Luca Dean, and we had Baines, who was incredible, and then we went to Luca Dean, who was very good. So the drop wasn't really, you know, there wasn't big noticeable, but there was a huge noticeable effect when Luca Dean went and Mykolenko come in, because they were just so different. But I think now, what we're seeing is, he's very good 1v1, but we're also seeing him play the other way. There was a couple last night, Pickford pinged to him, he just took it on his chest and went with the ball, and it's such a great output. Strength, he is trying to go forward a bit more. We had the ball on the right and he was in the box. It was things like that where last season and early on in this season he'd have still been on the halfway line. But I think he's come in, Jack, and he's really took to whatever the management team has said, and he wants to do well for Everton. That's a big bonus as well. And I think he's playing really well at the moment.
Yeah, and you know, he's a boy who's turned into a man as well, isn't he? You know, he came in as a young lad into a foreign country in a very high pressure circumstance. You know, one of his first games was Norwich away, where everyone was baying for the manager's blood, metaphorically, not literally, but a high pressure environment. And then, you know, he's, like you say, the comparisons to Dean and Baines, and you know, we switched to a manager who wanted more from him, and Frank Lampard wanted more from him going forward, and he wasn't that type of player. He was brought in by a manager who wanted a more restrained fullback, who wanted them to just be good at 1v1s and keep your positioning, and he's had to learn that. And you know, maybe Dyche is the first Everton manager who's took him aside and go, look, this is how we work on that. This is how we develop that side of your game. Okay, you'll always be more comfortable at this end, but we can still get you up to a certain standard. And I think maybe having that bit of care and then also seeing the results in himself has gave him that confidence.
It looks a lot more natural, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The way he plays now.
He doesn't look like a scared school kid
If you
anymore.
look at him this season, performed like great against Salah, to be fair, at Anfield with a really good game, strong against Rashford. You know, other players have played against him. He's done Saka, who's brilliant. He's had a good game against him. So he's done really well, and obviously he was excellent last night. Anthony Gordon and Almiron kept trying to change, and neither got much change out of him. No. Newcastle had a chance early on at half chance. We give the ball away and they broke, and it Joe Linton slid in Almiron. He just couldn't get it out of his feet, and it's a weak shot at Pickford. But after that, Everton did have opportunities. You know, we had there was a half claim for a penalty on Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He went through head it, and the lad just shoved him and he headed it wide. But then we had the great run by Jack Harrison, fed Dom in, and he scuffed the shot, didn't he? If he'd have got hold of that properly, I think we'd have been ahead. And then we also seen Dominic Calvert-Lewin fire over from 2 or 3 yards out instead of just stabbing it goalwards. I think he'd have scored. Was there a moment at that time when you're starting to think, here we go again? These are big opportunities.
I was thinking of the XG, like the XG. Oh, it's like a ticking in my head. The XG. No, we were making chances, weren't we? There was Dom had a header at the far post as well, didn't he? From a good cross. I think it was Dwight McNeil. But what we were doing was we were keeping the pressure on. We were keeping the pressure on. We weren't letting them settle. We were moving the ball well. You know, we were going long. We were going short. We were mixing it up, which is great. And we were just making chances. The ball was pinging around their box. And it was only that thing of like, I've seen this film before. Do you know what I mean? We're on to part, like whatever it is now of it. And Dom's was so clear cut. You think, are you going to get a better chance than that? Because obviously Newcastle come with all the hype of where they are and what they're playing in and being in the Champions League and everything. And sometimes your mind plays into that, especially when you haven't had good results at home. And we have missed the chances, so to see him miss that chance, you're just thinking, is it going to be one of those nights again? And it was a bad miss, and he's what he's done is a little bit like Betto on Saturday. He's just rushed it instead of taking the time that he had really, and that's what makes it worse. He had so much time to bring it down and just put it where he wanted, and he hasn't. He's hit it at its highest point, I think, and he's hit it with power. He's hit it with power, and so it's flew over. So yeah, that would be a disappointing moment for him as well, because obviously it feels like he hasn't scored for a few games as well, and obviously he was out at the weekend. So, but you know, his all-round performance is still fine, I think.
Yeah, I mean, Jack, he should have just toe poked at goalwards, and I think he'd have scored. But he did still work hard enough. He won enough in the air. He was cushioning things down to people. I'll be honest, I didn't think he had a great game, but he was still a handful for them, and he was knocking them about. And he's always the header Ped's talking about. McNeil done brilliant, squeezed across from the byline, and he rises so well, doesn't he? And he gets a good connection on it. It's just the Bravkas followed the cross really well and got himself in a good position. But
Yeah, he didn't have a great game, but we're still seeing the benefits of having Dominic Calvert-Lewin on the pitch. You know, he worked hard, he was battling. There was a situation in the first half where he went in for the tackle and then he was just on the floor battling with one of the midfielders for the ball for one of our players to pick up. And, you know, we'll get into it in a bit more detail, but he made an intelligent run for when McNeil gets his goal. And, you know, not to criticise him because he got a goal and I'm very happy for him, but I don't know if you see all of those benefits if Betto's on the pitch. I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin is a bit more intelligent with his off-the-ball play. Obviously works very hard as well and didn't have his best game and he easily could have had at least one goal. But I think as a player, our fan base has trust in him to get that performance back over the next few weeks because we know he can be a goal scorer. He's already still got more goals in the league this season in less games than he played last year. So, you know, he's already on the upturn. You can see in himself he's a lot more confident and happy. So, not the best day in front of goal, but I still think, yeah, we know what he brings to this team. We know how important he is.
Yeah, having him in the team is huge, and then having the option with Betto on the bench, it's a big thing for us. Went in 0-0 at half time, and I was, again, being here before, haven't we? You know, you're looking and thinking, he should be in front. I think the XG was 2 point something at half time and 0.5 for Newcastle. So we should have been ahead. And it was, if we can carry on this in the second half, we'll win the game. And it was a bit more even in the second half. Neither team really creating anything clear cut for the first part of the second half. And that's a guess where you're looking to the bench, and Everton's obviously didn't have much on the bench to mix it up. And the frustrating thing for me is there's like Dan Juma on the bench, but in my mind he's just not an option. I just look and think, if we take off Jack Harrison, or if we'd have took off Dwight McNeil, or if we'd have took off Ashley Young and put Dan Juma in it, you know that we're going to lose something because he doesn't track back, he doesn't wear, and that to me is really disappointing because he should be an X-factor option on the bench. He should be looking, going, he might be able to turn this game into our favour. We both had kind of like half chances in that. You know, we had a couple of corners that one of them, I don't know how it didn't go in. And Calvert-Lewin heads it, it's one of their players, and Dubravka smuggles it off the line. We had another back post one, which somehow they keep out. I don't know how they do. And then they had two opportunities for Anthony Gordon, both from Tarkowski. You know, one, Pickford gives me, I don't know what his touch is. It's terrible first touch, and Gordon rushes it. And the second one, he slices and nearly plays the assist of the season, which Gordon blazes over. And at 75 minutes at 0-0, you're thinking, this is here for us. Yeah. These haven't really, they're not creating things. Guimaraes wasn't dictating who's going to be the one that turns it in our favour. And you're looking at that benching, the only one you can think of is Betto. But he puts Patterson on at that stage. Seamus had had a great game and ran himself into the ground. First game since May. Let's have a quick look at Seamus' numbers from last night, because I thought he returned brilliantly. 33 touches, won 100% of his duels, 4 out of 4. 1 interception, 2 tackles. I think that's 3 clearances. There's his heat map, and you can see advanced in towards their box, which is something that we don't always get from Ashley Young. But Coleman had a really, really good return. He'd had Almer on at one time, that Gordon at the other. The fact they kept switching showed how good a game he was having. It was a really good return for Seamus, wasn't it?
And the defensive stats there are very good, but the thing that really stands out to me is that heat map, showing him getting over the pitch. And, you know, that's the prototype for the Everton right-back performance now. That's the standard set, and you know, maybe you can do that with Patterson, who has the fresher legs to get up and down a bit quicker. But Seamus has shown he's still got a lot to give this team, and having him on the pitch in what was, you know, an intense game, especially in the earlier stage as well, I think that does a lot of good as well, because he's just such a good voice on the pitch. And, you know, he's just such a character as well. He was having a go at, I think it was Guimaraes down with a head injury, and the physio tending to him, and Coleman's having a go at him as well while he's down. Like, I just love him, and it's going to be a sad day when he's no longer in this Everton team, but, you know, we have got the young player who can take his place, and he come on and he's shown with his assist late on as well that he can do that job, and I hope he gets that chance eventually.
Was a good return, Pet, wasn't it?
Brilliant, brilliant. Just typical Seamus, just back into the action, and as you said, run himself into the ground. Hopefully it's nothing serious. And as the heat map shows, he was in all of the major areas of the pitch that are important. for a right back. So no, he's a good player to have round. He's probably still our best right back, you know. And if we use him the right way, you'll get good returns from him. And he's a good defender. He can still get forward, and he's probably what we've been missing. And the manager clearly doesn't think Nathan Patterson's ready yet. So, but if he does believe he's the future, then who better to learn off than him? As I said, Ashley Young isn't a fullback. No, he's someone just playing fullback. So yeah, no, it's good to have him back, and just to have that, just to have a little slightly larger squad, because as you mentioned, the bench, there's nothing on it at all. But I felt like almost like in the first 20 minutes of that second half, both teams were just feeling each other out again. I thought they were a little bit crisper in the passing. You can see why they're a good side. You can see why they're a good side. The passing is really crisp. Whereas ours was sloppy at times. You know, Garner and Doucoure give them the ball away when there's like no reason to give it away.
Why can't they pass a ball 3 yards?
It's mad.
Their 15-yard passes are fine.
I know.
They get there, but they struggle.
It's Everton now.
But it's that quickness, isn't it? That quickness of thought more than anything else. It's like, and I thought they were a little bit better. And Jack Harrison was starting to drop into midfield a little bit too much for me. But in the final third, that's where it ended for them. Whereas the opposite for us was, you know, once we got into the final third, that's when we came to life. But it was just that bit in the middle, wasn't too much. And I think both teams, they're struggling with injuries, which no one's really talked about them having injuries. I don't know. Maybe the fella in the Whittle hadn't the smoke signals hadn't got them. I don't know, but they've got injuries. They had no bench. We had no real bench. And you've got to make those decisions and play. Managers will say, I imagine at our time, just don't run yourself into. We've got big games. Don't run yourself. Just see how it feels. Make sure you just play the game as it is. And then when those moments, then it'll be time to step up. And that's certainly what we did.
Yeah, they did knock it down nicely in the second half. That's what I mean by it was a bit more even. I thought in the first half, Everton just kept them. They just kept them like that early, which was, yes, they had the Isaac header, but that's a similar one to Dom's chance really for me. They didn't do much. Second half, I thought they were much better the way they passed it down. They work it well. Gameres is a good footballer, but his influence was less and less as the game went on, which was, I've seen him have much more influence than what he did last night. But we did get the goal, and it was at a moment when we just started to up the pressing again. Because we had almost dropped into a 4-4-1-1 and gone, you have a bit of the ball and we'll just sit and wait. And then almost when Patterson came on, they upped it again. It was like a little bit of energy came back in, the crowd got onto it, and the goal is excellent. Started with Dwight McNeil, and the ball's out to Trippier. And you can see what Trippier wants to do. He's looking at Ed and rolling his foot on the ball, and he just takes his eye off it for a sec. McNeil's onto it, and we see him here taking the ball from Trippier. And then McNeil does brilliantly, drives at the heart of their defence. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, it's an arced run, it takes him onto the outside. We take it on again, and McNeil just attacks the space, gets into the penalty area, and we can see him drawing the foot back. And he's just hit it between Lascelles and Shah there into that gap. And Dubravka doesn't have any chance, and he whacks it past them. And the roof came off Goodison. And that was simply getting a reward for pressing high, going after them, and don't have to foul. Go and put them under pressure and see if they can make a mistake, Jack. And it was actually good to see Everton profit from a mistake, because it seemed like, even in the first part of this season, but last season, this was us. Whenever we made an error, it got punished. It ended up in our net, and it was great to see Everton do that to a team, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it came at a very good time for us as well. You know, taking it back to what was just said, we had settled down for a minute, you know, reserved that energy, and then this was as we were just coming back into it. We had a period where all we really did with the ball was play it long to Dom, but then had no one to pick up on the second ball anyway. That was just pure conserve the energy, don't do anything stupid. We come back alive, and it's almost immediately rewarded. And yeah, you know, there's the element of look, Trippier might not always make mistakes like that, but they're very tired and very fatigued as well. And you know,
got to put the pressure on them to make the mistakes.
No, absolutely. And little known fact, they have got some injuries.
But so, I did hear that. I did hear that.
You don't. But if, in all seriousness though, if McNeil doesn't go steaming out to put it, McNeil could jog out there and go, well, I'll just get goal side and get me shape. But he doesn't. I think
this is what some of the criticism was of the Man United game, wasn't it?
Well,
of that, we weren't We weren't making those runs to a proper
See, I watched them Saturday night against United do that, and United just kept giving the ball away and panicking, and it was like, can we engage the crowd? And that we did, and they did start to make errors, but he took it brilliantly, Ped, didn't he?
Yeah, it was a fantastic finish, and got one on Saturday and does it again, and again he's confidence player. Mentioned that loads of times. Mentioned recently about him having to step up, and he has stepped up. And again, another player where it's fine lines between being just doing a job and going, oh, he's done well today because he's done the work to, like, he's had a huge influence on the game. And that literally is just that like couple of extra percent. And I think that comes from confidence more than less. And that's what Dyche gave him the day he came in. He's another one who, when he first came, I have my reservations about him because he looked, and not only looked timid, he looked terrified. Whereas now, he looks like, he seemed like a celebration the last two games. He's I'm a bit disappointed he didn't bring out the Spider-Mans or something, but you know what I mean? Because he is now my best mate, like, and we are going to play a bit of Spider-Man together.
Brilliant.
But, he looks like he wants the adulation of the crowd and knows that he deserves it. But that's the thing, isn't it? It's not not criticising these players, just like, you've got more in you. And I think the last two games, we've seen him grab hold of taking that responsibility. And it is just those little things, by the way. It is just like, instead of just jogging over and going, well, I've done my job, I've stopped them from passing up the line, so he's had to pass it to the centre-back. It's that, no, I'm going to go and engage him in the last 10 minutes where, all right, I'm tired, but I'm going to put the extra bit in. He's tired, let's see if he's got it. You force him to make a mistake, and you've got the confidence to go on and drill one into the goal. And yeah, that's exactly what we want from him. That's what he was doing the second half of the season last season. And let's just hope that continues, because he really can be a talisman, Dwight McNeil, because of the goals we've seen him score. So, and because he has, again, he's had an arc, hasn't he? He's had an arc like in a film.
Like a Spider-Man film.
Exactly.
No, but you did mention, in his celebrations, he does appear to have a bit of cockiness about it, and I don't mind that.
No, I
because,
don't.
I don't want him celebrating.
I want him to point to me and go, you knobhead, you were wrong.
No, but you don't want to see him celebrate and be like, I can't believe it.
Yeah.
I've scored. You want him to know that, have that belief in his own abilities and that self-reliance in himself.
The word on the street is Jude Bellingham robbed Dwight McNeil's celebration.
Oh, okay.
That's the word.
Fair enough. Hey, listen, he'll be set out.
Who's the real golden boy?
It was a great strike, and he's got that lovely left foot when he, engages it. Just do it a bit more. But it was brilliant. He got his reward, and that obviously reaffirms everything you're doing. What was good about it was we went after it again. We didn't just retreat then and go, can we just see the game out? Yeah. Obviously, the manager made a change. He brought Betto on for Dominic Calvert-Lewin. We tried to, make sure that we pressed them again, and we carried on doing what we were doing. Betto's a different challenge for them. He's all arms and legs and can run. And again, it's just pressure again, and we're going to see it from Jack Harrison, putting Trippier under pressure again this time. Closes it down. Harrison nicks the ball, and we're away, and he drives into the penalty area. Everton have got options. We've got McNeil, we've got Doucoure, we've got Betto circled. Harrison drives into that box, cuts it square to Dwight McNeil, who you're thinking, will he just side-foot it in? But he decides to play the Moise Keane pass, or Watford, I like to call it.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to take the goal himself. Plays it off to Doucoure, who's arriving, and Doucoure does brilliantly. Just hits it back where the goalie's come from, and into the net. And that was a lovely feeling to see that hit the back of the net. 86 minutes or something, wasn't it, to give Everton a 2-goal cushion. And again, the reward, that's 10 in 30 games for Doucoure under Sean Dyche, which is amazing. Be made up if you're a striker getting that. But that just gave us that little bit of breathing space. But again, reaffirmed, put them under pressure, press high. This is what Newcastle do to teams at St James's Park, and have had the rewards. We were getting it last night, and again, further evidence of that.
Yeah, and it's just the idea of being able to switch it like that, isn't it? They're trying to get back into the game, come forward, we can win the ball back and instantly get up the pitch. That's what you need to be able to do if you're a team that's comfortable not having the ball. It's quickly transition up the pitch and make them pay. Convince them they can commit men forward because they're trying to attack, they're getting on the ball, take it back off them and just run up the other ends. And, for Doucoure to get that goal as well, I thought he did quite well in a slightly more reserved position than he's been in this season under Dyche. But to still come up with a goal as well, it shows his quality, making those runs from deep into the box. And 10 in 30 from midfield for a mid-table team last season, the relegation fighting team. It's a great return, and he's been given a new lease of life under Dyche, hasn't he?
Yeah, and he's all credit to him. He's took it on and he's, you know, got himself in. He was everywhere. Like, I don't think it was his best game because he gave the ball away a lot last night, but he was just everywhere and he put tackles in, and he is one who will come up with the goal, won't he? And he probably isn't as effective at Goodison as he is away because we don't do that enough. We don't drive at teams and get balls in round the box for him to arrive late, but he took that brilliantly, and obviously it's 5, I think, for the season for him now already, and it's absolutely brilliant. Put us 2-0 up. I'll be honest, please refrain from singing things like Gordon, what's the score, when there was still a lot of time left in it. Yeah. Were you not all at the Newcastle game under Carlo Ancelotti when we were 2-0 up in the 91st minute and drew 2-2? Didn't enjoy that, I'll be honest. They then, ironically, had a couple of their best chances in the whole game. They had one that was pinging around our box, and the lads hit it into the floor, and I think it might have been...
Headed over.
Who headed it over? Almiron heads it over, and it, you know, huge sigh of relief when it lands on top of the net. And then they had the Isaac one, which is a great first touch. Someone when he dinked it over Pickford. Luckily, we had men back and he overran it. And once we kind of got past that, you were like, right, maybe we are going to see this out now. And
the 10 minutes on the ball wasn't the greatest
I don't
thing.
Understand where 10 minutes come from.
I don't.
No,
People rolling around.
Was it just for the 10 points? Was it just...
First he said 9 minutes as well, and in the 30 seconds since he said that, he found another minute. I don't know how that worked.
Absolutely mad. But we did add a third goal in that time, in Betto time. And what a goal it was. Absolutely sensational goal. We'll talk a bit more about it in a minute, but this is the final ball from Nathan Patterson. He just plays a tremendous little round the corner. Betto makes a great run. We see him on the next one driving in towards the goal. Now you're thinking, should he take it to the corner flag? But no, he's got the run on the centre-back. And off he goes, heading towards the goal. We take it on again. He's given himself options here. He can either roll it towards that far post where Dwight McNeil was making the run. He can go the far post himself with a shot. Or he can take another touch. And he takes it right on top of Dubravka and just gets it out of his feet and slides it under the keeper and into the net. You can see him wheeling away there. And obviously it was a hugely special moment for him. His first goal at Goodison Park, his first goal in the Premier League. And this is what the Gladys thought of it as well. There you go, tremendous. Just to take it back before I bring the lads in, there was 30 passes leading up to that goal. This is the pass map. This is from the Opta analyst. And it just shows the diversity of the passes down that left-hand side, and it eventually gets worked back to Jordan Pickford. He plays it up to Patterson. He cushions the header back to Tarkowski. It goes back to Patterson, and then it's forward, and off we go to Betto and Ped. What a goal. I think there's only Man City who've had a longer pass sequence and scored a goal in the Premier League this season, but unbelievable.
I'll be honest, I didn't realise when we scored we'd had 30 passes, because you just sort of...
Really?
I just like...
the old lay bits,
you don't... I don't know, with me sometimes I can just like completely forget what happened 10 seconds before the goal goes in. No, it's the right ball from Patterson. It's a great run. I'll be honest, I thought he was offside. I just thought, how on earth are you onside? And he was either going to fall over or score, because he just looks so unbalanced. But that's part of...
It's full Paolo one chop, isn't he?
It's the shirt, because he's running, it gets full of air.
Need a tighter shirt.
Yeah. No, it was that's the goal he's going to score, isn't it? Because he is, you know, Sean Dyche was asked about this in the press conference the other day, and he was like, him and Dom aren't similar. This is what he needs. I spoke about it after the Forest game. Back to goal. He's not a back to goal striker. He's a striker who needs the ball at his feet, carrying it forward. He is a bit, you know, you don't know it. Does he know what he's going to do? Clearly he does, but it's not really pretty, is it? It doesn't look pretty, the run doesn't, but he knows what he wants to do. And I think that's the ball we have to play more to him, and we have to know that as a team. And we have to, if he starts games, we have to maybe change our our tactics slightly to just play the ball down the channel. And if that's how he holds it up, then that's how you have to use it. I don't think pinging the ball to his chest or asking him to do flick-ons really suits how he plays. And that'll frustrate him even more. Yeah. Whereas I think that's the chance. You go back and watch videos from his time in Italy, they're the chances. That's the kind of goals he scores. So it was good that, I think when he was on the pitch, I think a couple of times we tried to play it down the side to him. And he's got the goal, and I think everyone's delighted for him because you can tell how hard he's working, how difficult it's been, because obviously Dom come back into the side nearly straight away. He hasn't had that chance, but he took the goal brilliantly. And you can tell everybody loves him at the club as well. You can tell everyone wants him to do that because he obviously goes in and trains very hard every day to become a success.
Jack, it should do him a world of good, shouldn't it? His first Premier League goal, first goal at Goodison. He scored at the Gladys Street end. He's kissing the pads. We know he's liked Everton for 10 years and stuff. You know, it was Lukaku he loved, didn't he? And all of that, Samietu and all of that stuff. So it's a great story, isn't it? For someone who, I mean, you touched on it in one of the live shows, he got into the professional game late. So it's almost that appreciation of everything he's got. It makes him so likeable as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned Lukaku. It was a very Lukaku-esque goal, especially from his early years. But, just drops the shoulder, using that pace and power to keep his men off him. And look, we sat here on Monday and we spoke a lot about Betto and just said he needs that goal. He needs that goal so he stops snatching at chances and he doesn't have to wonder, where's my first Premier League goal going to come from? Ironically, he showed a lot of composure with the finish because he just slid it through Dubravka's legs quite easily, and massive moment for him, and I'm dead happy for him because we know Dom's still going to be favoured, at least in the short term, going forward. But how good is it to have an option? How good is it to have someone who is a bit mad, but clearly has a lot of affection for the club and allows us to play a similar way that we do when we have Calvert-Lewin, because they're both big presences, big profiles, but gives us something slightly different with the ability to run with the ball and carry it. And look, we're not going to be doing 30 pass moves very often this year, but when we can keep the ball for a little bit, draw the opposition out, and then just play that ball down the line, having someone to run onto it, beat the full-back to it, just shrug him off with his shoulder. That's something we haven't had since Lukaku, and it is just that another option. It's another card in the deck, isn't it, that we can play.
Well, I mean, Ped, we saw this at Brentford earlier in the season when Betto had been up front. We took him off and put Dominic Calvert-Lewin on, and Dom come on and scored, and it was like bringing a centre forward off and having someone that comes on and scores goals. Well, again, last night Dom comes off and Betto comes on and gets one. That's great because it gives you that thing of, we have got a serious option on the bench, whichever one it is. And then obviously, hopefully, as we develop and as Chimiti develops, he becomes another one who might get you a goal every now and again. So we need that, don't we? And
if you haven't got much else you can change. I mean, obviously Patterson come on was in force, but you would imagine he still would look to make that sub.
He was ready, to be fair. He was
you would
ready
look to think he would make that sub anyway. So that's really the only other sub that he's looking to make. There's no centre midfielders. And he's obviously mentioned it many times. He just doesn't fancy Dan Juma. No. So it is, and I was a bit surprised he don't go off, to be honest. I thought, but the manager obviously thinks, well, that's a change I can make. That is going to mix it up. That is going to stop them from pushing on. They're 1-0 down. They're going to throw everything. But if we throw a different kind of centre forward on, suddenly they've got to start thinking about, are these going to get a second rather, are we going to get the equaliser? And it worked out perfectly. He did really well when he came on, and he that's why you pay the money, isn't it? Last year we had no centre forwards. This year we've got two, and they're both hopefully going together at the same sort of speed where you've got that on Saturday. Dom's not available. I don't think any of us went, oh God, it's a disaster. Betto plays, doesn't have a great game, should have scored, but I think we all thought, well, he's got time now under his belt. You can use that for another game. Gives Dom an option to come back. So yeah, it was great to see him score, and the manager has got that now. That if we've got one sub at least.
Exactly. Meant to do this before. Dwight McNeil obviously opened the score and worked his socks off, and will probably be credited with an assist for it brushing off his ankle. But let's have a look at his numbers from the game again. Work right down that left-hand side. 64 touches, 1 goal, 1 assist. 4 key passes and had an 80% passing accuracy. And again, is obviously the goal at the weekend, the winner, key goal last night. Moments like this are going to give him the confidence, Jack, to realise that, like Ped said before, he is starting to enjoy the adulation. You know, no disrespect to Burnley, but he's playing on a much higher scale now with the intensity and the fan base there, well. And the expectation comes up with big goals like this. He will be lauded by the fan base, won't he?
Yeah, and you know, 2 goals in 2 games now as well. There's not many Everton players who can say that this year. We've struggled for goals, and last year he was our best source of goals. So, you know, hoping he can do that again this year. But, you know, obviously do that in a team where he's not the only one now. And it's a good sign that he can still get goals and still contribute, even though it's not just through him. Because now we've got Doucoure fired and we've got Don back. And, you know, Harrison's going to get a couple, and obviously Betto as well. But, you know, McNeil can hopefully still get his 5 to 7 goals that he got last year. Do that again for us. And again, it comes down to confidence. Because there's chances he's had this year where you can tell he's just over 40 a little bit. He had one in this game.
Yeah.
He's just over 40 a little bit, just not put his foot through it. Whereas he's had this chance and the Forest chance, which weren't massively dissimilar, the angle of it, and he's just struck them perfectly.
Yeah.
That's all he needs to do. He knows he can do it. He's shown us he can do it. So just stop overthinking it. We know you're a good player. We've got that belief in you because he's got 2 goals in 2 games as well. If he doesn't get one on Sunday, I don't think anyone's going to be calling for his head either, because he's got that credit in the bank now.
Absolutely. Ped, we don't get a 3-0 win without the centre-backs playing really well. And Toffee, he played well.
Yeah.
Had a couple of hairy moments, which, you know, he tried to create the goal for Anthony Gordon. But he did play well. But Branthwaite, I thought, was exceptional last night. And this is his stats from last night. 48 touches, won 100% of his 8 duels there. 1 interception, 1 tackle, 7 clearances. I think his aerial duels were, I think he won all his
12 out of 12, wasn't it?
12 out of 12 aerial duels. There's his heat map. He is absolutely fantastic, isn't he?
Very calm, very composed. You can give him the ball, he doesn't lose it. He doesn't make mad decisions. As you said, he's such an all-round good player because he has got that strength in the air. But yeah, it's really good on the floor as well. Physically, a big lad, not many get the better of him. Learning all the time, and as a partnership they've been very, very solid and dependable. And yeah, Tarkowski in the last couple of games has made a couple of mistakes where you're just like, don't need to do them. They're like, it's not mistakes where it's like, you know, he's been caught on the ball stupidly, but Branthwaite doesn't really put himself in those situations. And he's, as I said, he's someone that I think from literally day one I've always thought would have a big future, and he's starting to show that now. And yeah, sky's the limit with him. Got to keep improving. He's got to keep improving. As he keeps improving, we've got to improve as well, and try and keep one at Everton for a while.
He played 1 pass in the second half to Harrison, and it just Harrison couldn't quite get hold of it. He bent it. It was an unbelievable ball. And if Harrison put his leg, if he would have pulled it down, it would have been. I'm glad he didn't actually, because that would have been like, oh, he's definitely moving to Arsenal. It was that good a pass. But he was sensational and has been fantastic. Let's have a look at the stats from the game overall. Everton 3, Newcastle 0. 21 shots for the Blues, 13 for Newcastle, 6 on target for Everton, 3 for Newcastle, 3 big chances for Everton. 4 for Newcastle. That's not what I've seen, but there you go. 39% possession in that sweet spot, which is always good for us. It's a possession.
Again, I seen I don't know where Ned gets his stats from. I really don't, because they seem to be different from everywhere I look. But it was 38% from what I seen, which is literally the sweet spot. So
well, listen, it's sweet spots and everything else is that we were in a zone that we're comfortable with.
Yeah,
we don't like having too much of the ball, do we? We don't. It's just the way it is, isn't it? I've just looked on Sky. Big chances, 3 for Everton, 3 for Newcastle. So there you go. Yeah. And at the game, you would have seen that as well. Although the XG, Everton was 3 points something, Newcastle was 1.5. So you would suggest a 3-1 win for Everton would have been fair. Great win. And on to Sunday now, it's a massive game again against a team that if Everton wouldn't have had a point deduction, Everton would actually be above by a point.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's a great...
It's top half.
But it's a great chance, isn't it, to keep a bit of momentum going. It'll be a difficult game there, very much like Manchester United for me, that they have got brilliant individuals, but just right now as a team, they're not together. 2 o'clock on a Sunday at Goodison. Can you get at them? And if you can, I think
they don't like playing in the north, I believe so.
It's an opportunity, though, isn't it?
No.
It's an opportunity for Everton to go and get another positive result.
Huge opportunity.
So, fingers crossed they can. Let us know what you think in the comments section below. We'll be carrying on Toffee TV Premier now. Give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't. If you want to become a Toffee TV Premier, remember the link is in the description. The QR code will be on the screen now. See you later.